Hi, I'm Steve Bogart, and welcome to this special edition of Bogart on Movies right here on WXEL. Special because now that the Oscar nominations are in, I'll tell you what I think. Who deserved to make it but didn't, who made the cut but shouldn't have, and lots more, along with my movie reviews, a look at the classic Ben-Hur, Carla's campy pick for the worst movie of all time, and more. But first, here's an Oscar story. I was at the Oscars when my mom, Lauren Bacall, was up for Best Supporting Actress for The Mirror Has Two Faces. She didn't think she'd ever get nominated, but here we were. The night before, she was the toast of the town because everyone thought she was going to win. Well, I'm sitting in the audience next to her, waiting for her name to be called. And here's what happened.
I'm so surprised. It's true, I didn't prepare anything. I thought Lauren was going to get it, and I think she deserves it. Where are you?
Okay, now let's go to the nominations. Best Supporting Actress. Sally Field for Lincoln. She played Mary Todd Lincoln. Anne Hathaway for Les Mis. Jackie Weaver, Silver Linings Playbook, Helen Hunt for The Sessions, and Amy Adams for The Master. Well, Anne Hathaway, she's a skinny little thing, so I think she's going to really need to do a little working out to be able to lift that Oscar. This is her Oscar. There's no way anybody else is going to win. Anne Hathaway gets her first, and she deserves it. She was wonderful in Les Mis, even though I really didn't like the movie, but that's another story. And now, Best Supporting Actor. Christoph Waltz, Django Unchained. He was phenomenal. Philip Seymour Hoffman, The Master. Robert De Niro, Silver Linings Playbook. Alan Arkin in Argo, and Tommy Lee Jones in Lincoln. Look, Chris Waltz deserves it. Philip Seymour Hoffman, he never gives a bad performance. I'll talk about that later. Robert De Niro, I hope he's going to get it, but Tommy Lee Jones could too. I don't think Alan Arkin will. Look, it's between Tommy Lee, Robert De Niro, and Chris Waltz. And I think they're going to give it to De Niro because how great would it be to see Bobby D walk up there and get another Oscar? I think that would be fantastic. But if it's Chris Waltz, if it's Tommy Lee Jones, I don't have a problem with any of that. Now we go to Best Actor. We've got Daniel Day-Lewis in Lincoln. We've got Denzel Washington in Flight. Why? I don't get that. Hugh Jackman, Les Mis, Outside Possibility. Bradley Cooper, wonderful in Silver Linings Playbook, but he's not going to get it. Joaquin Phoenix, my pick. I'll talk about The Master later. I think it's the best performance of the year, but I don't think they're going to give it to him. I think they're going to give it to Daniel Day-Lewis because the Steven Spielberg Lincoln snowball is rolling down the hill and picking up speed. And I don't see that there's any stopping it. But Joaquin Phoenix, in my view, gave the best performance of the year in The Master. Now we go to Best Actress. First, we've got Naomi Watts in The Impossible. I don't see why, but she's a wonderful actress. She was good. She just was kind of gone for the second half of the movie. Jessica Chastain, Zero Dark 30, very good. But then there's my girl Jennifer Lawrence, Silver Linings Playbook. I told you the first show that Jennifer Lawrence was going to get nominated and she was going to win. She should win and she will win. But there's also Emmanuelle Riva from Amour, the French film. She's the oldest nominee ever. And then there's Quvenzhané Wallis, Beasts of the Southern Wild. Look, Jessica Chastain was wonderful. There is no way that Jennifer Lawrence is not going to win this. I told you that a few weeks ago. I'm telling you that again. You'll see it on February 24th. The woman was fantastic. She should have won for Winter's Bone, and if you haven't seen that, you got to go back and see that. But she will win Best Actress, Jennifer Lawrence, and she deserves it. Now on to Best Director, and this is a controversial category, but not as controversial as some might think. David O. Russell, Silver Linings Playbook. Love that. Ang Lee, The Life of Pi. Ang Lee basically makes a movie and gets nominated and should get nominated. But in this case, the next guy, Steven Spielberg, will win for Lincoln, of course, because everybody's talking Spielberg. Everybody loves Spielberg. He's a great director. He hadn't won in a while. He's going to win. We've got Michael Haneke for Amour and Ben Zeitlin for Beasts of the Southern Wild. But the story here, in some areas, is who was left out. My man, Q, Quentin Tarantino. How could he not be in there for Django Unchained? I don't get it, because I thought that Django Unchained was the best movie of the year. And here, he's not nominated. I'll talk to you more about that. There's Ben Affleck in Argo, again nominated as a movie, not in. And Catherine Bigelow, Zero Dark 30. Everybody was saying, oh, Catherine Bigelow is going to get a nomination, she's going to win. She's not nominated either. Here's the problem. There are 9 nominations for Best Picture, 5 nominations for Best Director. That means, doing the math, 4 nominations will not be made for Best Director, and they will be gotten for Best Picture. So there are going to be some people left out. And now we go to Best Picture. Beasts of the Southern Wild, that's the Independent. Silver Linings Playbook, which again, I'm patting myself on the back. I told you about the first show. Zero Dark 30, Lincoln, Les Mis. I didn't really like Les Mis, but a lot of people did, and there it is. Life of Pi, Amour, Django Unchained, and Argo. Now, out of these, everybody thinks Lincoln's going to win, but you know what? The Weinsteins have a way, and Silver Linings Playbook could win. I think that Django was the best movie, I think Silver Linings Playbook was the second best movie, and I think Lincoln was the third best movie. But frankly, any one of them could win. Now let's look at 2 movies which had, in my view, the best of the best, and both received Oscar nominations, as you just heard. One is my favorite movie of the year, and the other is what I think is the best performance of the year, Daniel Day-Lewis notwithstanding. First, Quentin Tarantino's Django Unchained. The movie's about Django, a slave in the pre-Civil War South who's been brutalized by his former owners and who meets up with bounty hunter Dr. King Schultz, who leads Django on a path to finding his wife and finally revenge.
Do you know what a bounty hunter is?
You kill people, and they give you a reward?
Better they are, bigger the reward.
I'm looking for the Brittle brothers. However, I don't know what they look like, but you do.
They called my wife. They sold her. But I don't know who to.
Calvin Candy. That's the repellent gentleman who owns her.
Broomhilda is my property, and I can choose to do with my property whatever I so desire. Help me find the Brittle brothers, and I'll take you to rescue your wife.
Let's get to it.
My name is Dr. King Schultz. This is my valet, Django.
Come on over. We got us a fight going on that's a good bit of fun.
What's your name, boy?
His name is Django Freeman.
Where'd you dig him up?
A fortuitous turn of events brought Django and myself together.
I've heard tell about you. I heard you've been telling everybody that Mandingos ain't no damn good. Ain't nothing nobody is selling is worth buying. I'm curious. What makes you such a Mandingo expert?
I'm curious what makes you so curious.
What did you say, boy?
Calm down, Butch. No offense given. None taken.
Monsieur Conde, I'd appreciate if you could direct your line of inquiry toward me.
One, you do not have anything to drink. Can I get you a tasty refreshment?
Yes, I'll have a beer.
Make no mistake, this is a big movie, a masterpiece of filmmaking, my best movie this year, and I think Tarantino's best ever. It will surely rattle you, it'll make you think, it confronts the horrors of racism head on, in the way most movies don't. This is the Q-Man at his best, the brilliant score, so eclectic and right on, it gives at times a kind of a 50s Western feel. The director pulls no punches and gives the audience everything this movie has to give. and it has a ton of humor throughout. The performances across the board were tremendous. Jamie Foxx, wonderful, as was Kerry Washington. The always great Leonardo DiCaprio was great again as the slimy Calvin J. Candy. The brilliant Chris Waltz and Samuel L. Jackson. My hat's off to Mr. Jackson. Now let's talk about the violence, and there's plenty of that. I've said before that while I don't think violence in movies leads to the type of violence we see in the news all too often, gratuitous, I repeat, gratuitous violence, violence just for effect, that's a different story altogether. But this movie is not that. This movie is set in violent times. It reflects those times and their violence. Slavery, murder, beatings, degradation. It's a time when black men, women, and children were sold and treated as if they weren't even human. So yes, it's very violent and very bloody. I don't go to the movies for the violence. And yeah, there were even a couple of scenes when I had to look away. But those particular scenes depicted the horrors that the slaves had to endure at the hands of the white slave traders and owners. There is no sanitizing what went on 150 plus years ago in this country. This movie confronts it. It's the truth. You can skip this one if you want to, but you will be missing a truly great movie. Now let's look at The Master. It's not great, or in my opinion, even that good, but it's a film which has, in my view, the year's best acting performance in Joaquin Phoenix. Written and directed by Paul Thomas Anderson, he did Boogie Nights and There Will Be Blood. It's the story of ex-Navy man and World War II vet Freddie Quell. Phoenix, an alcoholic who will drink anything from paint thinner to the contents of a fuel tank on board a ship, and his attempts to come to grips with his life after the war. In comes Lancaster Dodd, played wonderfully by Philip Seymour Hoffman, the leader of a cult-like movement supposedly based on the beginnings of Scientology, who brings Quell into his flock.
There will be people on the outside who will not understand the condition you men have. Now, upon your shoulders rests the responsibility of a post-war world.
And smile.
You can start a business, filling station, grocery, or hardware store. Get a few acres of land and raise some chickens.
You have a break coming?
10 minutes?
If the average civilian had been through the same stresses that you have been through, undoubtedly, they too would have developed the same nervous condition.
You must understand. You want to get the lights right. How'd I get down here?
You're acting aggressive because you drank too much alcohol.
What do you do?
I am a writer, a doctor, a nuclear physicist, a theoretical philosopher. But above all, I am a man, just like you.
You make this up. I know you're trying to calm me down, but just say something that's true!
Are you thoughtless in your remarks? Do your past failures bother you? Is your life a struggle? Is your behavior erratic? What are you running from?
He's dangerous. And he will be our undoing if we continue to have him here.
If we are not helping him, then it is we who have failed him.
Perhaps he's past help. Or insane.
Although I didn't love this movie, to me it was just really strange, and I found it sometimes hard to understand. Maybe that's just me. But Joaquin Phoenix, as Freddie, was truly spectacular. He was spellbinding, magnetic. Phoenix disappears into his character, as he so often does. He becomes Quell so completely, you forgot he's an actor playing a role. You feel his pain, his needs, his raw emotions. And Philip Seymour Hoffman, does he ever give a bad performance? So the movie, I give it a 2.5. But Phoenix, he gets a big 5 stars. Our weekly look at classic film is a movie of true epic proportions, one that is on everyone's list of favorite movies and that also contains one of the most legendary scenes in movie history, 1959's Ben-Hur.
great victory. You were the people's one true God, for the time being. Permit us to worship. I crown their God.
The 9-minute chariot race remains one of the most legendary scenes in movie history. In fact, star Charlton Heston took weeks of chariot lessons and actually, except for the most dangerous sequences, drove the chariot in the film. There were even doctors and an infirmary on the set to take care of any injuries. By the way, there were no serious injuries to either the actors or the horses. This film is big in every way. At the time, the sets were the biggest ever. The movie was the most expensive ever. There were more than 1 million feet of film shot, even though the final cut was just 19,000. The musical score, more than 2 hours long, remains the longest ever for a motion picture. And the payoff? Well, its 11 Academy Awards remains tied for the most ever, with Titanic and Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King. The director, William Wyler, Mrs. Miniver, Best Years of Our Lives, Roman Holiday, Funny Girl, is one of the most influential directors in Hollywood history. Look at this scene where Ben-Hur meets Jesus for the first time. You can feel the emotion and the power of this scene. And notice, you never see Jesus' face.
Wait! No water for him.
God, help me.
You! I said no water for him! Feet, all of you. Get them on their feet. Back in line, you dog. On your feet. Get them going. You there! Back to your place! Back to your place!
That was so powerful. Also, during the opening titles, MGM's lion mascot does not roar. That was Wyler's choice, and MGM agreed because of what he felt was the religious nature of the film. Finally, Heston, of course, is Ben-Hur. But here are some of the actors who turned down the role. Burt Lancaster, Marlon Brando, Paul Newman, even Rock Hudson. Can you imagine any of these guys as Ben-Hur? No, it's Charlton Heston. Anyway, you want great movie making? This is it. Enjoy. Now it's time to hear from you, the viewer. Charles in Clewiston writes, I enjoy your show very much, and that you highlighted The Great Escape and Sweet Smell of Success. You should have mentioned the composer of the soundtracks for these two movies, Elmer Bernstein. He was a great composer of soundtracks for movies. Well, Charles, yes, Elmer Bernstein was the composer for those films and a lot more, like The Ten Commandments, The Magnificent Seven, The Man with the Golden Arm, True Grit, and he won an Oscar for Thoroughly Modern Millie. A great composer. And Stephen Wusiker, and I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, writes, you erroneously stated that Broderick Crawford was in the television series Route 66 along with Martin Milner. Milner starred alongside George Maharis. When was the last time you heard George Maharis? And then Glenn Corbett. Broderick Crawford starred in Highway Patrol. His signature line was 10-4. Stephen, you got me. Crawford was the star of Highway Patrol, a great 1950s series, not Route 66. So thank you and 10-4. You can email me. Send your questions or comments to Steve Bogart at WXEL.org and include your name and your town. In this week of Oscar nominations, Carla's Campy Pics nominates that old standby, Plan 9 from Outer Space, for the worst movie of all time. It was directed by the infamous Ed Wood and starred Bela Lugosi, who, showing his good taste, died during the making of the movie. So director Wood replaced him with a chiropractor he knew, who finished the film with a cloak over his face and never said a word.
It is safe to state that the grandchildren of some of the people in this dinner will not be born on Earth. They come from the bowels of hell, a transformed race of walking dead, zombies guided by a master plan for complete domination of the Earth. Plan 9 from Outer Space. Starring the most nightmarish cast ever, Bela Lugosi, the seductive Vampira, and Thor Johnson as the Walking Dead.
Turn off your electrode gun! No! No! Stop him, Dennis!
I can't get it, it's jammed!
Stop him, you fool!
Bullets bounce off their bodies. Rockets, missiles, jets cannot stop their death ships. What earthly power can stop this terror? For a glimpse of things to come, see this blast of screen suspense. For it could be happening right now.
This week on Steve's Real Hits, I give you the only X-rated movie to win Best Picture, and one of my all-time favorites, 1969's Midnight Cowboy.
I'm Joe Buck from Texas.
Enrico Rizzo from the Bronx.
And I'm gonna buy you a drink. What the hell do you think of that?
I don't mind if I do.
Why do you think I come all the way up here from Texas for? Well, I'm a hustler. You didn't know that?
You were gonna ask me for money? Huh?
Will you get out of here?
You gotta get yourself some kind of management.
Only vehicle. Hey, I'm walking here. I'm walking here.
Don't worry about that. Actually, that ain't a bad way to pick up insurance, you know.
In New York, no rich lady with any class at all buys that cowboy crap anymore.
Women like me, goddammit. Hell, the only one thing I've ever been good for is loving.
But for that service, I charge $20. I happen to be his manager.
Okay.
I'll buy you his coffee, huh, please? I don't think I can walk anymore. You know what they do to you when they know you can't. When they find out that you can't walk.
I'll just tell him I don't go nowhere without my buddy here.
Skipping over the
You know what you gotta do, cowboy?
I'm scared. Where you going?
I gotta get a doctor.
No doctors, no cops.
You're sick, boy. You need a damn doctor.
Hey, just put me on a bus. I don't need you.
And the title song, Everybody's Talking, written by Fred Neil, won a Grammy for Best Vocal Performance for Harry Nilsson. I love this movie. If you haven't seen it, you should. As I said, the film got an X rating from the Motion Picture Board, which was ridiculous even then. Until next week, I'm walking here. I'm walking here.